get this started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Serve Kids Better Town Hall meeting. My name is Tara. I'm a registered dietitian, diabetes educator with Franciscan Health, and I'm also a board member with Stonebridge Healthy Community Outreach Initiative. Stonebridge was created for the purpose of sharing resources, gathering information, and offering mutual support, services, and care for individuals who were diagnosed with diabetes and other chronic illnesses from various communities. Our co-founder or our founder is Miss Ali Smith, who I met at a health fair a few years ago. We talked at the health fair, she won me over, and I've been a member of Stonebridge ever since. To fully understand who Stonebridge really is, we have to let Miss Ali tell her own story. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Ali and let you get a feel for who Stonebridge is. Go ahead, Ali.
Good evening. I am Ali Smith, founder and director of Stonebridge Healthy Community Outreach Initiative, a nonprofit tax-exempt 501c3 organization. I found Healthy Community Outreach Initiative in 2008 in memory of my parents, Penny and Willie Smith, who were the proud parents of 12 children. In 1963, my father passed away at the young age of 54 due to complication of type 2 diabetes. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes along with 9 of my 11 siblings, 7 of which are deceased at this time. But I aggressively changing my lifestyle and following a plant-based meal plan, including eliminating sugary drinks, taking vitamins, supplements, and also incorporating exercise in my daily routine. I have successfully been able to manage my diabetes without medications. Today, at the age of 87, I do not take any medication. With my success in 2006, I introduced the idea of starting a family support group, members of my family. Of course, my idea was not accepted with my family. I have a passion for teaching and helping others diagnosed with diabetes, or those at high risk for diabetes, or other chronic illness, change their lifestyle. I want to share the secret of my success and will continue to do so with Stonebridge. Tonight, I envision Stonebridge living on for generations to come and educating the communities on healthy eating. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Ali, for sharing who Stonebridge is. And what we're going to do tonight, we're going to tell you why we are actually here tonight. So Stonebridge wants to empower communities by providing them with help and with aid in the prevention or the worsening of chronic illnesses. And so one group that we have focused on are our children. And so with our children, we want them to have a healthier future. We don't want them to have to suffer from diabetes, heart disease, and many of the chronic illnesses that a lot of individuals in our community have suffered with. And that's the reason why we're here tonight. So we have joined forces with the Illinois Public Health Institute, the Illinois Alliance to Prevent Obesity, in support of a new law, Serve Kids Better. And with that law, that will require restaurants to provide healthier alternatives in terms of beverages, including water, low or non-fat milk, as well as other beverages that will be packaged in children's meals. You know, serving healthier options to children is just one small change that can potentially have a huge impact on children now and in the future. And so tonight, that's what we'll discuss. And so we're going to have Jana Simon, who's a program director for the Illinois Public Health Institute, give her information and input on this new legislation. Please, Jana, go ahead.
Great, thank you, Tara. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jana Simon from the Illinois Public Health Institute. We're really excited to be here tonight and to hear from all the great speakers and from you when it's time to really talk about the importance of making sure our kids are getting the healthiest choices served to them, both at restaurants and in other places around the state. So we are really excited. This piece of legislation is being sponsored by Senator Maddie Hunter, who's joined us tonight, as well as Leader Hernandez in the House in Illinois, and we'll talk more about that later. But we think it's just one simple, easy step to help get kids moving in the right direction with nutrition, and we're excited to hear more about that from our speakers tonight. So thank you, Tara.
All right, Jana, thanks so much for sharing your information with us tonight. So thanks to everyone that has joined us tonight. At the end of our discussion, we will have a raffle, and we'll tell you more about that later in the evening. So let's get this evening started. So we have a very dynamic moderator who's going to run the show tonight. I'm going to call him our master of ceremonies for this evening. This is Dr. John Artis. He's a successful chiropractor, and he's the founder of Health on Earth Chiropractic and Rehab and Natural Health Solutions. Dr. Artis has been so committed to the community, and he wants to be an inspiration to everyone that he comes in contact with. He's been helping people develop new strategies and accountabilities, as well as maximizing the possibilities of good health. His belief is that everyone should have the choice to live in wellness without sickness and poor health. He's been such an active member of the community. He's also been a member of Stonebridge, and he's been so helpful when we've made requests to him. And so he spreads the word about chiropractic care and how helpful it is, and how it's possible to be physically disconnected from divine healing. Dr. Artis believes in ongoing education and how it's so important to stay up to date with the latest health issues. He's also been lecturing on the importance of gut health and a healthy spine. And so we're so excited tonight for him to introduce all of our speakers. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce tonight our moderator for the evening, Dr. John Artis. Dr. Artis, go ahead and take it away.
You're on mute.
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me tonight. It's a pleasure. Stonebridge is my home. I've watched this organization blossom from just an idea, from the strength of just one powerful woman that just had the vision to change so many. She started with her family and then going on to just change the world. And just her relentless willingness to get out there and realize the possibilities out there of what she could do, and just getting people behind her. I mean, this lady might be quiet, Miss Ali, who I'm talking about, but she's far from just fierce. She can get anything accomplished. And I'm a testament to her willpower and to her loving compassion just to help her people, just to help people, from teaching them how to garden to everything. I remember, you know, it was dust in the Hazel Crest Library, and we would be sitting in there meeting, and we were just on Saturday mornings once a month and just lecturing and doing whatever I could to help her, because, you know, I have a special connection with diabetes. It's just what my dad is disabled because of diabetes. My mother's borderline from it. You know, if I don't watch what I eat, my blood sugar level could go up high. So, you know, it's just always a connection to just really get out there and educate people, because the sad reality is, you know, as I was thinking about opening up for this thing tonight, is, you know, this is not this is a very serious matter. And I didn't want to set the tone of being too light and being too careless with it, because people are finding out that they have diabetes when they already have it. And so many people are borderline that we talk to. And it's one of the things that tonight we want to accomplish, that we want to raise awareness, that letting people know that not only do we are responsible in our households, but with the drinks that we give our children, but also the restaurants that they give them. They put no thought in there, and it's just really about making a dollar. And we want to make sure that everybody understands what they need to do by the end of this town hall tonight. Again, this is a pleasure to be here. When Miss Ali calls, I always answer, and I never tell her no. It's something about a lady that her size and her strength and her look in her eyes, you know. So I can't express my gratitude. One of the things I would also say too is that, you know, when it started out as Stonebridge Diabetes Support Group, to now we're big time. We're Stonebridge Health Community Outreach Initiative. I mean, that is really going to a whole nother level. I'm excited to actually see the growth right in front of my eyes, and just really be here tonight. So with that being said, I want to just talk about just some ground rules with tonight, with just the moderator, just me moderating. Each presenter tonight, we got a dynamic lineup. You're in good hands tonight. We're gonna enjoy the ride. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna laugh, but we're also gonna get to the bottom of what we need to do to actually move this agenda forward. One of the rules tonight is that each speaker will give between 5 to 10 minutes to talk about, you know, the effects of sugary drinks on children and what we need to do to hold restaurants accountable for giving them that stuff. But again, we also need to look at our homes too. I mean, we can't really be just filling kids up with drinks all the time, because there's so many things that can happen from that. With that being said, I want to go ahead and pull up the first speaker. I want to keep us on time, and it's my job to actually keep us, you know, going. And this lady right here, I bet you didn't know that she's a model and she has a PhD. So she has definitely the brains and the beauty. Dr. Jahari Kowali is a very phenomenal woman. I mean, this lady is I don't know too many people that have an organic farm, first of all, but she has an organic farm down in the Pembroke Township of Illinois. She's actively involved in her community. I first met her years ago. I met her family. And also I've seen her speak many times before, but she's a very powerful woman. And I let her introduce herself. She's been involved with just research and doing so many different things on such a large scale, from pharmaceutical companies to still maintaining the farm to still traveling around the world. And also too, you know, she's currently working on that doctorate. So for that STEM education. So Dr. Jahari Cole, I want to bring you on. Are you with us?
I am. Hi, Dr.
Long time no see. I know.
You hear me? Yes, yes. And Dr. Artis is my chiropractor. I'm very pleased and happy to say that he's our family's chiropractor. And need to come back and see you soon.
Yes.
But yeah, you know, one of the things that Dr. Artis is very good at is teaching me patience and just trust the process. And you know, I came into him practically crawling on the floor with a slip, you know, with a ruptured disc, and he was like, just trust the process. We're going to get there. And several weeks later, I think I was dancing in there. I came dancing back into his office. So yes, you know, so I really appreciate that. And Miss Ali is a gem that I was introduced to 7 years ago, and I so appreciate all of your work and just you as an elder, you know, braving the path for all of us. And that's just honorable. It's so honorable, and I'm so appreciated to even be in your company. So thank you. And thank you all for even inviting me to this. So I know I don't have long. I didn't know, one of the things that I know we were talking about in terms of sugary drinks and, you know, just the whole concept of what we're talking about. Oh, before we even get started, I'm working on my doctorate's degree. I do have my master's and everything, microbiology and management, MBA, but I am working on my doctorate's degree. So call me a doctor in 2 years. I'll be done.
Well, you have a PhD in life.
So I'm a second-year student.
You have a PhD in life.
PhD in life is one. I am an organic farmer. Absolutely. Just a quick background. I am an organic farmer. I was raised on a farm. My family and I have been running an organic farm here in Pembroke Township, Illinois for over 25 years. and been actively involved in food access, food, insecurities, food safety issues for nearly 30 years, from Chicago and even statewide and national. Been on national boards, Organic Farming Research Foundation, to name a few. And so, yeah, and locally, I do a lot of projects. I'm president of Community Development Corporation in my hometown, and so we look at still developing the community, but with a sustainability twist, and that includes, protecting our environment, our waterways, our air, our farmers, our land, our soil, all of that for the betterment, of our community and others. So, giving you all just that brief in a nutshell. As a STEM educator, I love teaching our students, and our children about their own health. Recently, and when you talked about especially sugary drinks, I was the coordinator at our local school, and I had our students do a project on looking at the sugary drinks and how much sugar was in, different foods as well as primarily drinks. And one young lady was doing it where she was actually taking, physically putting the amount of teaspoons of sugar into the equivalent, what was it equivalent, into the beverages and into a bowl. And she said her father was drinking about 2 to 3 pops, no. And by the time she finished, said, well, let's look at what he's consuming. And by the time she finished putting the amount of sugar that her father was consuming, she was literally bawling in tears. And I said, why are you crying so? She says, because my father is dealing with a lot of health issues. And now I see why. Because she had a jar that literally was about, oh goodness, it had to be at least a 4-liter jar that was full of sugar. And that's what he was consuming in 1 month's time. In 1 month's time. The other kids actually was looking at the consumption of sugar that the average American is using. If you drink, at 2 cans of pop of sugar a day, that's about 5 pounds of sugar a month. Her father was well into 12 to 14 pounds of sugar. The average American consuming over 200 pounds, literally we had a wheelbarrow of sugar that the kids put together and put it on display to show everyone as far as how much they're actually consuming, in a year's time. And it started making, when you're putting those physicalities and in those real world concepts to what we're talking about, people get it. Mm-hmm. And there was some changes made. They even started looking at the the milk and other beverages and how much they were actually getting, much sugar they were consuming before the start of the school day from just breakfast, because there were a lot of different drinks, sugary drinks that are given to students. And it's supposed to be, in school, if there's supposed to be the beverages of, milk consumption, but a lot of the children were choosing strawberry milk or chocolate milk, which had so much added sugar. And even the 1% to 2% milks they're starting to add sugar to 1% to 2% milks just to make it taste better. So we're getting a lot of sugar content in a lot of different beverages. And some people are like, well, I'm giving him iced tea. That iced tea is not any better. With the loads amounts, 28 to 29 grams of sugar. So there's a lot of different sugar that the students can become aware of when you actually put tangible information into their hands so they can do their own research. Soon children will be asking for their own, they will be making better choices themselves and demanding better choices.
Dr. Ms. Cole, I want to ask you a question. How did we even get to here with all these sugary drinks?
Well, one of the things I always, I started thinking about, well, what is our actual, hydration method? And that's water. Mm-hmm. So water is our primary source. We started, humans started altering water basically, about 1,000 or so years ago, where we started realizing that we can add things, whether it's teas or any of the sweeteners. But our primary source of consumption is water. Our bodies are 70% water, which is on average. Babies are a lot more water. They're like 80% water when they're first, coming into the world. Till, our older adults actually are a little bit less water, about 55 to 60%. But the average, we're about 65 to 75% water. That controls our brain. Out of that percentage, majority of it is used by our brain and our other organs throughout our bodies. So our thirst, if we're lacking water or using up our water allotment in our bodies, our brain starts to kick in thirst receptors in our throughout our system to demand that we find something to replenish our loss of water. On average, we lose about 8 cups of water a day. The average person loses about 8 cups of water a day, and that's with just general activity, sweat, or urination. That's 8 cups is about 64 ounces of water that we use. Some people are less, especially those who are more sedentary and not working in a garden, okay, or out in the fields, like our ancestors used to, where a lot of sweat was done. So, but if you're an athlete or you are using any kind of physical, doing any kind of physical activity, then you're going to consume and sweat off and use up or urinate about 8 cups or 64 ounces a day. That means you have to replenish that minimum. Now, everyone knows, I'm not sure of everyone, but if we don't have water, is like the next thing to air that the body actually needs. We can't live but so many minutes without air. The majority of us can live only 3 days without water. That is, if you do not consume any water intake at all, you only have about 3 days. You start feeling dehydrated through headaches, through other signs, and to the point that your organs start to fail and shut down. That's how critical water is in our bodies. We actually have receptors in our tongues to search for water. So whether it's through food or through, a cactus plant or coconuts or or finding water through the ground or through other sources, we actually have receptors. Those sour receptors are the same receptors that we used in our, for eating. We use those sour receptors to look for and recognize water. But we don't typically like that sour receptor. Our favorite receptor is that sugar receptor, right? Many people don't like the taste of water because it may have high mineral contents or anything like that. Or sulfur, the presence of sulfur in a lot of the water from, deep water systems can alter that smell and make that smell like rotten eggs. And that kind of turns us off to drinking water. But we still need to have that water, so we need to filter it out. So how do we start altering that taste, that smell, is by adding things to it. We started adding coffee bean, ground coffee to our water to make coffee drinks. We started adding other things to our water, teas, to start altering the water itself that we so desperately need. But one of the biggest things, because of our sugar our insane want for sugar, as soon as we started adding that little sugar, that sucrose to it, well, that changed the game.
That changed the game. Okay.
That changed the game. So we started trying to, adding a little bit more. The unfortunate thing, when we started altering the water, it's just like seawater. So if everybody is aware, our beautiful planet is mostly water, but it's salt water. And if most of us know from school, we can't drink that water, the ocean water, all the ocean that's all over the world, we can't consume it. We actually, and why is that? Because the water, even though it's a high water, it's actually 3.5 to 4% salt, the sea salt. And what it does to our bodies is that it displaces the amount of water that we need. It actually starts to dry our system out and makes us urinate even more. makes us, that high salt content makes us urinate, which makes our fresh water just leave our system faster. So we actually, if we're drinking just seawater, we actually will die from dehydration. And so that's the crazy thing about it, all that water and we can't drink it. Well, something similar happens when we're overloading our fresh water with sugar. So even though a lot of the sugary drinks that we drink are like 3%, 2 to 3%, you know, sugar based, and it's like 95, 98% water, right? It's still so much more of the sugar is still making us urinate more. And it's displacing a lot of the natural nutrients and everything and other calories that we need in our bodies. So sugary drinks are mostly calorie laden, and they really do not do anything for our body, but our thirst for the water is still there. And we're trying to substitute water with the sugary drinks.
Okay.
It's the same thing as trying to substitute the water with seawater. We need the pure water that has no calories. And it's sometimes, and actually pure water doesn't really have a full taste. What we're tasting are those minerals and everything in there that may get sucked up along with the water. Or if you're getting store-bought water, unfortunately, in a lot of the plastics, and that's a conversation for another time, you may be tasting residuals of the plastic in the water. So, which is another, like I said, another conversation.
So with that being said, what we'll do is we'll save some questions for a question and answer, just to keep everybody on task and everybody gets it right. And we got some questions lined up for you, so be ready. Okay.
All right. So that's basically my take on what, you know, the primary issue. The other thing, just briefly, you know, about, well, why is sugar so bad is one of the reasons why that sugar is, you know, it's natural substance and is, you know, is developed by our sunlight. Our sunlight hits our plants, creates the sucrose, or it actually creates glucose, fructose, and another crazy sounding sugar called galactose. Sounds like a galaxy or anything, but those three sugars then are combined to make either lactose, which is our milk sugars, or sucrose, which is the sugar that's found in most of our fruits, okay, or I'm sorry, in sugar, table sugar, and or we're creating maltose, which is the sugar we like to find in like wines and fermented drinks. But all of those are still forms of sugar that process slightly different in our body. Some directly, most of it goes directly, especially fructose, which is most of the sugar drinks are made of, concentrated fructose. And that concentrated fructose, what in high levels, is a different, it's chemically made and altered out of corn, and is manufactured in you know, man-made manufacturing plants. And that high concentrated fructose, corn syrup, is much sweeter and cheaper than regular fruit juices or fructose. And so it's that high concentrated fruit juice or fructose that actually is deleterious to our health. It goes right to our liver, right through our bloodstream into our liver, and starts trying to break it down. Unlike basic table sugar even, or sucrose, it actually takes a little bit longer to break down. So the unfortunate thing is that the increase of this cheap substance directly correlated with obesity and diabetes, the high amounts of diabetes in our country. Now, typically correlations are not, you know, can be disputed, but this was such a definite correlation that more research needs to be had into why is it that the fructose is literally causing the increase of this high fructose corn syrup in our drinks and in our beverages, other beverages, is correlated with high diabetes rate and obesity. So there is a definite correlation. It needs more study, it needs more research to go along with it. But they are finding that there is, you know, that one-to-one correlation. Okay. High fructose corn syrup definitely needs to be
eliminated,
you know, reduced, yeah, and eliminated completely.
So Ms. Cole, we're gonna have to wrap
Yes.
up. We're gonna go on to our next.
Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you. Hold on, we got some questions and answers coming in. We
Perfect.
gotta ask you, but I want to introduce the next speaker. This guy. I think he needs no introduction. He's well known in Chicago. I've seen him on television. I bet you didn't know too. He probably deserves as an Oscar for all the he's been in 4 movies to credit. But just a very profound man. And I think when you are serving at the level that he's serving at, people come and find you and they want to know, like, how can we actually help more people? So this guy is Dr. Terry Mason. He's a graduate of the University of Illinois College of Medicine, retired urologist. He's currently serves as the CEO of Trivention Incorporated. And also he's formerly known as the CEO of the Cook County Health System. Also had a show called Doctor in the House for over 30 years on WVON. And again, those 4 movies, I mean, I watch them over and over again and I constantly see, and I was like, man, hopefully one day I'll get to meet Dr. Terry Mason. And I am fortunate enough to be on this panel and I get to meet him virtually. So Dr. Terry Mason, want to bring you on. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. And is that better?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. And I want to say how honored I am to be here with this august group of people. And of course, my state senator, Maddie Hunter. I wanted to just follow up on one of the questions that you asked, unless you had something you wanted me to answer specifically. But I do want people to understand that our United States government was complicit in the formation of high fructose corn syrup and actually used the tax dollars from the American people to create subsidies that made its creation very cheap, and they made it widely available. As you might recall, I'm one of 10 kids. I'm number 5 of 10. And I grew up in a home where my mom and my aunts and uncles and everybody cooked. And as time went along, and that was on a long time ago, everybody was things like TV dinners and things becoming more available and faster seemed to be the thing to do. And so high fructose corn syrup is a sweetener that was actually paid for by taxpayers by subsidizing the price of corn to where it was cheaper than they got so much subsidy. They actually made money by growing corn because it was subsidized so much and so heavily. And these same people ended up with the ability to, from the money that these companies made, created lobbies. And I'm just telling you the truth, created lobbies that continue to lobby to make sure that this substance became cheap and widely used. And as a result, the high fructose corn syrup finds its way. And if you look at movies like Food Inc., for example, you will see that high fructose corn syrup makes its way not just in the soft drinks, but breads and almost many foods, even batteries. So you have to really understand that this is an economic situation, that the health, I'm proud to say that when we were trying to bring forth a law some time ago and actually a tax on sugary sweetened beverages, although we took a bunch of arrows for that, it was the right thing to do. And Bloomberg actually helped sponsor those things. But we wouldn't have the plethora of all these, not just sugary sweetened beverages, but these things like Twinkies and things of that nature without these. And the high fructose corn syrup, as has been mentioned, is a dangerous substance. It is not something that should be taken lightly. The fact that it's in our juice and our fruits and in our beverages that we drink is by no accident. And this particular sweetener is dangerous because of, as the previous speaker said, the bad thing about high fructose corn syrup is that it damages the liver. It can actually cause a fatty liver, almost like alcohol. But it is a dangerous substance that does that. Now, the obesity is not something special. It is something that comes obviously as a result of too many calories, and unfortunately, high fructose corn syrup concentrates loads and loads of calories. And our children and our adults are eating these particularly cheap, low, high energy intensive foods that are creating, and not only just obesity, but we got to remember that inflammation is also part of the obesity complex. And it's this inflammation that is driving a lot of the things that we're seeing that's associated with diabetes and obesity. I can tell you, as a person who used to eat a porterhouse steak every single day, that I had a steak 7 days a week. And that bought me a trip to the cardiac cath table. And after that, I had a change in not only my diet, but a number of other things. And over the last 12 to 15 years, I've not eaten any animal-based products, including milk and dairy, as a result of it, because I found out how inflammatory these things are, and that these things are not put out for health; they're put out for wealth. These particular industries are making billions of dollars, and they used our tax dollars to help subsidize the production of these things. And these people became so rich that these lobbyists then help perpetuate these sorts of things. And we had the same sort of thing that happened with tobacco. So these are important facts that we should remember, because people knew already that this was not good, and it went forth anyway. So I think that we definitely need to remove the subsidies that make not just high fructose corn syrup cheap, but a lot of corn-based products cheap. And if you ever watch the movie Food Inc., you'll see that they take corn and make everything that you can imagine from it. And they do it in a way that's very, very cost effective for the manufacturers and the people who assemble these things. So I just want to say, in this short time that I had here, to say how difficult and how tragic this situation is. And there is no such good thing about it. There's nothing good about the high fructose corn syrup other than it makes money for people. And secondly, this is causing a lot of death and disability because our children are bigger, they're fatter, they're having diseases that people typically didn't get till they were much older, at a much younger age. And there's no reason to have high fructose corn syrup in anything. So I am definitely a proponent of it being removed. But more importantly, I want to see more of our government begin to look at foods that are far more healthy for us, as opposed to making certain that the important lobbies that are residing in Washington, D.C. get their way to have things that make money and cause disease than we have now. So I will stop at that point because I know you have other.
Thank you for being so kind. Would you suggest more plant-based foods? Do you think the government will get behind that?
I think that they should remove all the subsidies from high fructose corn syrup and a number of other things, and put those subsidies into the kind of foods that are grown out of our ground. We should subsidize organically grown foods. That's what we should subsidize. And we should make certain that these foods are safe, that we don't have the same issues that we have with things like Roundup. We should be making certain that we're not using DuPont dyes to put in the tanks that we grow our farm-raised salmon in to give them a pink color, because they're not eating the natural food called krill. So we should invest in the health of America. Unfortunately, we also live in a system that there's no money in health.
Right.
There's no money to be made in a healthy population. So money is only made in our, and I'm a physician. I practiced medicine for 26 years. I've been doing my radio show now 30 years. And I can tell you there is no value proposition that supports health in our current system. There's no money to be made in health. The money is made, I was taught as a physician, as all physicians are taught, how to be arbiters of medications and procedures in order to deal with not the cause of disease, but the complications. So we never eliminate the cause. In fact, we tell our people, oh no, you're going to have high blood pressure the rest of your life. That's a lie.
Right.
That's not true.
Right.
So there are a lot of things that we could do. And that's what I've devoted my life to, is really showing. And I mean, I was a guy, I told my cardiologist, even after having a stent, I was not going to take Lipitor. And the reason I wasn't going to take Lipitor was because I wasn't going to put anything in my mouth that had bad cholesterol in it. And I told him that I would come every month to verify that. It's not one thing to say something, but you need to verify and get the facts. So I went and had to test every month to document the journey of my cholesterol levels to down to very, very safe levels. And I have not since that time had to take one single pill for that.
True testament. Thank you for sharing that. That was very powerful. Wow. Next speaker we're going to bring up is Senator Maddie Hunter. Amazing lady. I was amazed at how she sponsored over 200 bills regarding, everything from breast cancer to substance abuse to healthcare access, which we need. We live in deserts, a lot of our communities, or we don't have access to healthy foods and healthcare. So without that being said, I want her to come on because we don't, just for time purposes, to move on. Senator Maddie Hunter.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and hello, my good friend, Dr. Terry Mason. So good to see you.
How you doing?
Hey, good to see you all. So I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this evening to discuss ways to bring nourishment to kids' meals. Health and wellness has been my passion for decades. Over my career, I have sponsored and supported countless measures bringing equity to health in our state. I have always believed that it is vital that everyone has access to meals that are healthy and nourishing, which is why I am sponsoring legislation to bring healthy beverage options to kids' meals. Among the top 50 restaurant chains that included beverages as a part of their children's meals in 2016, 3/4 include sugary drinks on their children's menu. The legislation I am sponsoring, known as Senate Bill 1846, it aims to ensure that restaurants provide water, milk, or 100% juice as the beverages automatically included in Illinois kids' plans. Sparkling water, unsweetened flavored water, unsweetened low-fat or non-fat milk, among others, can all fall into safe default beverage options under this measure. I would also like to note that though these may be the default option, parents will still have the choice to ask for other types of beverages, like soda or lemonade, if they wish. So you have to always give folks an option. This measure is important in ensuring the health of future generations and will instill healthy eating habits in our children at a young age. A 2012 analysis reported that 33% of children eat foods or beverages from fast food restaurants and 12% from full service restaurants on a typical day. In general, Americans spend almost half of their food budget on restaurant meals. Trust me, I understand that fast food is a convenient and affordable option, especially for those that eat in food deserts, where healthier food options are not always available. I understand that sometimes you just don't have the time or energy to cook a meal at home. This is why we must do what we can to make fast food a healthy option, Making water or low sugar drinks the default option of a kid's meal is a great starting point to a healthier trajectory. If we introduce healthier eating habits to children now, they will have this knowledge for the rest of their lives. As previous panels have mentioned, constant consumption of sugary drinks can take on immense toll on one's health. frequently drinking sugar sweetened drinks is associated with dozens of health issues, including weight gain, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, non-alcoholic liver disease, tooth decay and cavities, and gout. Diet soda isn't much better. And I actually linked it to increased likelihood of gaining weight. There is no significant nutrition linked to diet soda, as it contains artificial sweeteners and increases risk of diabetes. The prevalence of type 2 diabetes and other diseases already disproportionately affect children of color. We must all we must all do all we can to mitigate these risks. Health issues isn't the only risk a constituent soda consumption. A 2013 study published the Journal of Pediatrics found that aggression, withdrawal behavior, and attention problems are also linked to soft drink consumptions in our young children. Look at what's going on with our kids today in the schools and the kids walking up and down the streets. I know that we all want the best for our children and to them to and for them to lead the healthiest lives they can. If we can prevent certain illnesses and behavioral issues, we should do so. We should do everything in our power to do so. Implementing this legislation and getting it passed and then implementing it will be an easy way to show our kids that what you consume on a day-to-day matters and can impact your overall health. This kind of legislation would not be new to the United States. It has been passed in states such as Delaware, Hawaii, and California, and the cities of Philadelphia, New York, and Louisville, and Lafayette, Colorado. Other organizations that have been committed to healthy living are in support of this initiative, including the American Diabetes Association, the Healthy Schools Campaign, and the Alliance to Prevent Obesity. And of course, this organization, the Illinois Public Health Association that I'm working with, and more, of course. So even public schools are starting to adopt this ideology. Research from writers found that the availability of drinks and vending machines in schools have dropped from 16% in 2008 to just 11% in 2011. Further, the Institute of Medicine recommends that schools only offer students water, 100% juice and non-fat, and 1% milk on their average menus. So in conclusion, ensuring health for our children and future generations is something I am very passionate about. And I am proud to bring this groundbreaking legislation to our state. Again, this legislation is known as Senate Bill 1846. You can follow its progress on the Illinois General Assembly webpage, ilga.gov. Repeat, ILGA, that stands for Illinois General Assembly.gov. I'm excited to bring this to the Tourism and Hospitality Committee, this legislation this session rather. So thank you all very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
As we move on, we got some questions here, just for question and answer for our panelists.
Mm-hmm.
One question that I see that's coming through on my Facebook Live is what separates us from the soda tax that Cook County had? Like, what are they going to be taxed, or restaurants going to be taxed differently, just like humans? I guess that's what they're saying. I'm not clear on the question. For Senator Maddie Hunter.
Oh, so I don't no, this does not bring a tax. Actually, I work with the Public Health Association, the Heart Association, and some other health charity organizations several years ago, and we're the ones that brought it to the county. And we fought, okay. we fought, and folks beat us up. We tried to get the same thing passed in the Senate several years ago around that same time. And the folks from the sugar industry and the soda industry, the beverage industry, rather. They fought us tooth and nail, you know, and they convinced, they came down to Springfield, y'all, with suitcases of money, and they spread it out.
Wow.
You know, and they said, this is not good for you. Now, folks already know that we have food deserts in our community, and that kids eat too much sugar because of the high rates of diabetes it causes, and behavioral disorders, and all the things that I mentioned. But we couldn't get folks, I mean, they talked about us like a dog on some of these radio shows, you know, so, but that's okay though. We're going to bring it back at some point, but this is not a tax right now.
And I will just add, this is Jana, that the Restaurant Association and Beverage Association in Illinois are actually supportive of this legislation as well. So they are on board. They think it's also important that kids are getting the healthy drinks.
And they were the main ones that were against it beforehand. So y'all, we're beginning to turn the channels on this thing. And you know, everything is centered around prevention and education. The more people you educate, and the more parents you educate, you know, we eventually will win.
One of the other questions we have right here, what do restaurants need to do to improve their offerings?
Their offerings?
Of sugar.
Their offerings or their portions?
I guess you can answer both. That's a good question.
I don't know. Perhaps someone else can answer, but I mean, they can, I mean, see, we have to educate. I'm sorry?
This for any other panel. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I can start it out by saying anyone can, I mean, we have to educate folks. You educate the Restaurant Association, and they know that people's eating behavior has changed, because they know how people come into restaurants and they'll ask, do you have a gluten-free diet or menu, or do you have a vegetarian menu or vegetarian dish, or do you have this or do we have that? And many of them do not have it. So in order for them to stay in business, they have to restructure their entire operations on how they operate, because people's diets have changed and people have become more aware of the effects of sugar and eating poor eating habits.
We're starting to
Dr.
see
Mason?
Yeah, I would also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I would also say that it is consumer driven. Majority of the things are consumer driven. I mean, you know, 30 years ago, you know, the word organic was foreign to most people, and now it is a common everyday word, and people are demanding it in supermarkets, in the general supermarkets where there were none, you know, 20 to 30 years ago. So it's consumer driven, and education is the key. I teach my son, look at the, you know, look at the cereal box. If anything's over 8-9 grams of sugar, we're not buying it. And so now he's driven at 17 years old on automatic pilot. You know, he appreciates what's going into his body, and he's very discerning of what he chooses at the supermarket. So the same thing happens, education, and educating our children. I'm telling you, educating our children, they can drive the market themselves.
Absolutely.
And Senator Hunter, I just like to add to what you said, that it's happening already. I can tell you, because I go out a lot with friends to eat, and most of the better restaurants particularly already know. And I've gone to steakhouses with friends of mine, and steakhouses have some of the best selections of vegetables, and the better ones, even some of them have vegan options on their menu, where they even make certain that there's no meat or a broth or anything coming from any animal-based product. So the economy is going to drive it. What I would like to see is and this not necessarily in the state legislature, but maybe at the federal side, we need to see more support to help people grow organically. And I mean, shifting some of those dollars that are now being used to subsidize the high fructose corn syrups and some of the other products to be shifted to support the subsidy that would make our better food cheaper. The thing is, we got to have widely available good food cheap.
Yeah, but we also we're learning more and more now to grow our own foods. We're beginning to utilize our backyards, you know, and we're learning how to grow our own foods. Representative Sonia Harper and I, about when she came in as a freshman, we passed legislation to encourage the Department of Agriculture to have sponsored community farms and community farmings. And so this is a big deal now, you know, and so young children are getting into it. I've even seen some guys who used to gang bang, and now they consider themselves as farmers because someone took them under their wings and showed them how to not only to grow, but to tend the land first of all, you know, and then how to grow fresh veggies. And so, I mean, we're learning. We're going back to the basics slowly, but we're getting there.
In order to survive, we're going to have to. That's very important. And that's I've always said that the further that we get away from nature, the sicker we're going to become.
Right.
So when we start doing all this
Absolutely.
stuff, I mean, coming from the grandson of a father, it's going to get back to that. We have no choice in order to survive.
That's a good
So
point.
any other questions we got? Right. Yeah. What another question comes in on the panel? Senator Hunter, please provide the information of 2012 study on behavior and health of children. Where anybody can find that?
Do you know where the study came from? Was it the state, the city, the county, the feds? I don't know.
I think it's
Jana,
this is
I
in
think
the
it's
chat.
one you referenced. I was looking at our fact sheet. I don't see it in there. So if you send me, I can find it for folks.
Okay. Jana will take care of it. Thank you, Jana.
Okay. And then also, what does implementation look like for restaurants?
I'm sorry, this is Dale Kane. I asked a question about the study, and if you could send me the link if you have it, that'll be great. I teach nutrition education, and that's a great study to review.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. So I want to bring it up as we kind of wrap things up. Millicent, got a minute to share some thoughts for this town hall?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute myself.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Millicent Walker. I am a parent of two. I am also a chef. So I would like to say that this legislation is very exciting for me to hear, because as a parent, I may not take my children out to eat as often because I am a chef as well. It's nice to see that they will have some better options when they do go out to eat, as opposed to just that, like I always seem to be the bad guy when I tell them, no, pick something other than a pop or a chocolate milk. Get something different. And this will help me to not be the bad guy, because I can say, well, no, what's included are these options. So that helps me in that regard, because I am always looking for something for my children to eat healthier. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes is very prevalent in my family, especially as we age. And the things, as many of the panelists have said, the children are gaining weight faster. They are experiencing things that they used to not have to experience much later in life. And so as I look at my children, yes, I am definitely concerned for their health, because like I said, type 2 diabetes runs very strong in my family. And I was borderline diabetic with both of them while I was pregnant. But I learned that making those small changes in just what we eat and what I consume kept me away from having those diabetic episodes. As a chef, this also helps me in my practice to not be the only one standing out when I say, well, no, what we offer here is water, maybe flavored water, because I do, we do a number of fruit flavored waters that are naturally fruit flavored, like orange water, as opposed to, something that's powdered or anything like that. So it makes me to, again, feel like I'm not going to be the only one left out. It makes me easier to compete with my other with my other restaurants. So I appreciate Senator Hunter moving forth this legislation, and I'm looking forward to working on implementation.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Millicent. Now I want to bring up Karen. Karen is an integral part behind the scenes. Very powerful woman. Karen?
Evening all, how are you? I'm Karen M. Evans. Good. I'm Karen M. Evans, a volunteer at Stonebridge Healthy Community Outreach Initiative. And I just want to say, after having heard the impact of sugary drinks on health, I have one question. How will you serve kids better? I have a suggestion. Model the behaviors that you wish to encourage. The easiest way to slay the sugar-sweetened beverage beast is a method that I call ounce for ounce. For every ounce of an unhealthy beverage that you plan to drink, you must first have the equivalent amount in water or another no sugar added refreshment. No swing low, no equalizer, no splendiferous, none of that. Try making water that has been steeped with fresh fruit. Make lemonade, but add any fresh fruit or fresh fruit combo that you would like and put in a blender. Invite the kids to get involved. Get creative as a family unit so that you and your children can pass on a legacy of health, wellness, and wisdom for generations to come.
I just want to add, if I might.
Thank you, Karen. Yes.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is, Judge Pensham used to say, you can't be what you can't see. And so I think the point of making sure that we model the behaviors that we want are important. But the other thing that we have to do is we have to understand that this is not all about individual choice. There are systems in place that guide this behavior. So when we look at what we're seeing on television in terms of the ads and the commercials, you got to understand that these things are scientifically created with the right kind of colors, music, frequency that they're replayed on television, radio, and other media now on tablets and things of this nature. So I don't want people to think that it's something that you're going to be able to do all by yourself. We've got to get, and that's why I'm so proud of Senator Hunter, because we need everybody in on this. We need everybody to really take up the position that we're going to start really pushing the things we need to do for our health. And some of these things may not be as lucrative to some of the people that are involved as they used to be, but we've got to do the right thing, because at the end of the day, that's how we're going to be judged. And I think we all want to be judged as being responsible for doing the right things, not just for our children, but for all children of many generations yet to come.
Thanks, Dr. Mason. That actually brings up a great point in this legislation. It actually says that any advertisements in the restaurant about the kids' meal also have to reflect the healthy beverages. So you can't have images of something else up for the kids' meal when that's not the default.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Dr. Mason, there's a question that came to, you mentioned hypertension does not have to be a lifelong disease. What dietary changes does someone make to reduce dependency on hypertension drugs?
Well, I think it depends on a number of things, but one of the things we need to do is increase the amount of foods that we eat that are anti-inflammatory. And unfortunately for most of us, none of those things walk, hop, swim, slither, or anything like that. Most of these things come out of the earth. So the best thing you can do to not only just for hypertension, but also for your cholesterol, also for your blood sugar, also for a number of things, if you can begin to increase the amount of fruits and vegetables in your diet. I'm not saying throw everything away at once, because that's not realistic for a lot of people, but just begin to add more. No matter what the fruits and vegetables are, just add more with every day, every week, and you'll get there. And that to me is the way that, and increase the amount of just water that you drink, because none of these other beverages do you need. Water, as said by the first speaker, is the only one that you absolutely need.
One of the things I want to add note to that I see a lot of people doing right now is that people are just overly stressed out. I think just chronic stress not sleeping. I know in my office, if I see 10 patients, 6 of them suffer from insomnia. They're not getting a proper night's rest. And so if you're constantly under that fight or flight, I mean, blood vessels tense up, your blood pressure is going to be higher. Just it's simple things on top of not eating right and incorporating sugar in the diet. You got to do some work too. A lot of people look for just the easy way to do it, and they can make simple changes by exercising, just living a healthy lifestyle. So,
and if
anybody else have any comments?
And if I can add to that, is that, you know, like Dr. Mason said, that water is so key even to stress, because the lack of water starts collapsing our veins. It's like, you know, our whole body is a pipe system. It's a pipe system that has fluid running through it. And, you know, the water, or like a river. And when it starts to dry up, it starts to get sluggish. Things start to slow down. Things start to, you know, stick. We need the water. And, you know, people who are dehydrated, the nurses can't find their veins. You know, when they need to poke them in the hospital, you know, with a needle, they can't find the veins because they're dehydrated. The veins have started to collapse. So dehydration is one of our biggest things, and we can't substitute water with, you know, sugary drinks, which will displace all the benefits that water has to gain this. I do agree with, you know, being a model. One of the things that I started doing in my household is we like that sugar, that strong acid taste from sodas. A lot of us want to kick back and drink that, you know, something about that acid, that burning sensation that, like, you know, thrills us for some reason. You know, even I'm like, you know, after me, you want something acidic. So drinking the carbonated, you know, water, and just adding a little taste of fruit juice can substitute soda for anyone, for children. And children start to gain and start to like it, you know, so I would add that as an option.
I would recommend, we do a lot of stuff like that just because of allergies. And we noticed that when the kids had sugary drinks, the allergies flared up more. So Spindrift was one of the only ones that I found that actually uses real fruit juice and carbonated water to actually kind of give you that zing, and it tastes good. So eating healthy does not always have to taste bad, and that's the misconception that people always associate with it, you know, especially in our community. I've had some very good vegan meals and very lean meals that taste better than they did with the old foods. I mean, we get used to feeling bad after we eat, and that's a terrible thing. People think that's a good thing where I'm from. Everybody eat Sunday after grandma cooked, and everybody's falling asleep fighting for a place on the couch. And that's not the way God designed our bodies, right? So we got to really change that, and we change with our inner circle and our immediate family. So any other questions?
Well, I don't have a question, but I may have a comment.
Yes.
One of the things I'd like people to understand is that you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. So exercise is important. It's very important, and it's critical, but you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. So you want to make sure you eat as best as you can, because that's the best way that you're going to get there. And again, I think that I want to thank publicly Senator Hunter for sponsoring this bill, putting this bill out, because we're going to need more things like this, because there will be lots of resistance at different levels of government because of the constituents that maybe some people represent, for us to do the right thing. And I think it's going to take courage, and I think it's going to take the backing of the legislators who step out to do something like this, to let them know that they're supported in this, in every way that we can let them know that we should. I'm involved, as you are, with a farm project in Lansing, Illinois, with the church, Vernon Park Church of God, where we are growing organic food out there on the farmland. And I tell you, kids are the best barometers. One little guy came out with his dad and his mom, and he just broke off a piece of broccoli right there and just started eating it. So the kids know, but we train them to do bad. We train the kids to do bad, and we've got to stop that. And we've got to make the right thing to do, the fun thing to do too.
Yep. Very good. Any other comments?
Real quickly, I would like to just say about, about the change and, you're talking about farms. Over the 25 years that I've been farming here in Pembroke Township, I have definitely seen a change in young kids coming back to their homesteads to farm. Many of the farmers used to just throw their hands up in the air because, the young ones just left and didn't want to have anything to do with it. But a lot of the young folks are coming back to farm their ancestral lands, and it's a beautiful thing to see, but they need support. And in order to keep encouraging, our next generation to be able to be the farmers, the providers of the good food and organic foods, the things that we eat, we have to support them. So like, Dr. Mason said, the unfortunate thing is that, a lot of our farmers can't make a living wage where they're thriving, not just surviving, but thriving. And that's due to, we need to take those subsidies and turn them inward to smaller family farms and that really care, get their hands in that soil to provide, because you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. So we need to definitely, pay more attention to them. Mm-hmm.
As a grandson of probably one of the largest African-American farmers in the state of North Carolina, I've just seen farming transition from independent farmers to commercialized farms. So last time I was home, I was driving through the country and you could see the signs on there where this would be like Precious Farms or Cohary Farms. And it's no longer that Mr. Johnson that used to own that farm because he's died off and his kids, were not interested. What's a way that we can get our families back involved? Just simple by planting a garden, by just doing what are some things that we could do to actually get more involved and get more in tune, even though we live somewhat suburban urban lifestyles?
Yeah, like Senator Maddie said, put a garden in the backyard. Start, even if it's a container box on the windowsill, to grow your own herbs that you're going to cook for dinner. Instead of buying some thyme and some oregano, grow them on the windowsill and use fresh herbs. That alone starts to spark the need to want to grow more. And then you're going to grow your tomatoes. Then you're going to want to grow your lettuce. I mean, just start small. You don't have to do, 5 acres like, and 10 acres or more like we do. You can start small, like, and that alone sparks the interest. Seeing something grow from the ground that you actually nurtured and harvest it yourself is one of the most rewarding experiences that anyone can have. And knowing that they're touching something and they're involved in something with love, that they're sharing and passing on to the next person. People used to always fuss at me. I used to fuss at a farm bureau guy who was a monocropper. He was like, we grow corn we feed the world. We feed the world. I said, well, I feed your family. I'm putting the food on your family's table, So we might not feed the world, but we feed our neighbors, we feed our communities, and we feed all the people who are growing those monocrops too. So
I would say
colorful food.
I would say that we also need to, as well as the legislation that we have that Senator Hunter is putting forth, we need to also be certain that there's legislation and funding to support farming activities, because these things are very labor intensive. And they do require, as you know, it's in Chicago or in the Midwest, we have a relatively short growing season. So we need to think about how do we make this a financially sustainable situation? Because as you've already mentioned, it's not just small black farmers, it's farmers all over the country that are throwing in the towel from one point of view. And that's because the farms have become such big industrialized corporations that's the only way that they can function to continue to borrow the money they need for equipment and help and everything else. So we need to take a look at the entire industry, top to bottom, and think about what do we need in order to support this, to grow the kind of food that will continue to feed America and make it strong again.
Yeah. So with that being said, I would just to reiterate the importance of this town hall tonight is actually go to your local legislation. What's the bill you can go to, Dr. Maddie, and you can register? I've registered I signed up and signed the bill to call action yesterday, and it was a very simple process. You just click on the link, put in your address, your numbers and everything, and you can actually, your voice could be heard. Any suggestions, Senator?
Just go online, www.ilga.gov, and you should be able to fill out a witness slip electronically in support of this legislation. Spread the word, email people, text people with the bill number, and ask them to sign up on it in support of it. And the more support we show, the better chances we'll have of getting it passed. Okay.
Hey, good.
What's that bill number again, Maddie?
Senate Bill 1846.
Thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
And the House Bill 3490, the same bill by Leader Hanners, passed out of committee last night unanimously. So that's really
good.
What was the House Bill number, please?
House Bill 3490. They're both under the two legislators' names on the slide too. If you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Jana.
Yeah.
Good. With that being said, now we have the raffle announcement. We have also up-and-coming events coming up. I want to make mention of creating a healthy and fitness for 4-H meeting. And
you guys, I'm going to have to get off. I'm going to have to jump off.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. This is a blast.
Next week, March 28th, from 4 to 5:30 or via Zoom. I mean, everybody's still meeting socially distancing, but the 4-H is getting back, and they were forerunners in teaching people how to do a lot of different things. Also, something that everybody should participate in is a virtual 15K walk, bike, run, and it can be done over the course of 15 days, or it looks like 12 days, where you can, 15K is like 9 miles, so you can actually do a couple miles a day, and you can easily do that. Very, very fun and do it. What you should do is do that virtual 5K, take a picture of yourself walking, and tag it on that Facebook page for Stonebridge, and just to give everybody support. I remember we did the first one, Miss Ali, years ago at that park with the t-shirts. That was a good event with the first 5K. So 6 weeks to walk, run, or bike. So it doesn't have to always necessarily be biking or running. So if you're just a walker, you can break that into 9 miles into 6 weeks. It's a little over less than a mile a day. And you can easily accomplish that. And that's a good way to get active and be healthy. As we move forward, last thing right here, how to better serve the kids, is the raffle announcement. Raffle announcement is, who is the person here? The raffle, what you are winning is a 1-hour nutritional consultation from our licensed nutritionist, Tara Allen. And that is Myrna Walker. I'm sorry. I can't see that very good. But Myrna Walker. And so I encourage anybody, if you've not sat down with a nutritionist, sit down. Your eyes will be peeled back into W. There's certain simple things that you can do that actually can help you. So congratulations, Ms. Walker.
Thank you.
Look forward to that. And also, too, just to review the purpose of the night, I want everybody to go and sign that House Bill of 3490 or the Senate Bill, which is 1846. It's a very simple process. Bring awareness, text it, have your family members do it. Get as many people as possible on board with this, because this is a very, very big deal. And anything else you want me to cover? Ms. Thompson.
We made great time and lots of great information.
Thank you.
Actually, I think Jahari put something in the chat box about actually, hold on, sorry. Jahari, did you want to mention something about the farm?
I was just saying, the farm is waking up, and it's an exciting time. So just want to invite everyone to the farm. We do education classes here. We just put in a new processing barn where we can do more education classes, as well as more canning and everything. And so we're really excited about that. And you can go to www.iyabofarms.com to see. It's still under construction, our website, but you can see what we offer. So looking forward to everybody joining for this season. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.